the article was about, they looked at the funding that the NIAMS, National Institution of Arthritis, Musculoskeletal and Skin Diseases, that national institution, how much funding they got from the NIH, so the National Institution of Health. So that's the basis of the article. And then they looked at where funding goes and also the result and the problems that America is experiencing because we don't have enough funding for research to go towards the different interventions that can be put in place for musculoskeletal diseases. So like osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, low back pain, neck pain, those kinds of things. And because we don't have as much funding, we're having more issues. We don't know why, and less people know what to do and that kind of stuff. So we just tell the conversation based on that information.
Well, so I think one thing that's like, this is like kind of on topic-ish, but I know like the Trump administration, they cut like on a lot of research funds for medical stuff. Mm-hmm. So I know this came out before the Trump administration came back in, but I just thought that was kind of like an interesting tie back to like real life applications at least.
Yeah.
But one thing, so they did a study based on ecological study design, which I looked up here, and that's basically they analyzed data based on pre-existing, what do you call it, like resources, so kind of like surveys, for example, or they didn't even put their own stuff out, but they're kind of looking at it as more of, they're putting the information out, they're analyzing it. So what risk in this case, they're looking at budgets, so they probably did something similar to, they probably pulled a bunch of like bodies of research, like universities, institutions that like hospitals, that kind of stuff. They probably pulled data and saw like the fundings, and then kind of saw like what is getting the money, where is it going to, that kind of stuff. And they probably saw like either like a disproportionate amount was not going to the research, or that it was probably declining. I'm not really sure which one they saw, but I just thought it was interesting how they conducted the study. It was more of like it's still like an experimental study technically, but it's more so just looking at data and not like conducting an actual experiment.
Yeah, speaking of real life applications, I actually seen this research. They looked at warehouse. You know how they have those people that like shelve things, and like Amazon workers that they work in warehouses. They often have a lot of issues with their backs and stuff. So this article looked into how they can have some funding into researching and just making things like innovative.
Keep talking, you're good. You're good.
Like innovative solutions, like AI powered exoskeletons, or like different machines that people could shelve things with.
Yeah,
that's
also
one
like
of the fundings. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was looking at the research,
I've actually seen it before outside of this.
Yeah, the importance of research. Like, it talks about the exoskeletons and prosthetics. So it just improves those things with physical therapy and shit. So
it's minimal. It provides a lot of minimal strain.
Yeah.
Because that is pretty interesting. Because I remember reading here that it said like the common like what are they called, like effects of like the disease, like the musculoskeletal disease, or like back pain, neck pain. Mm-hmm. That would be like common with the people who have those types of jobs. So
Just like any manual labor risk, I think that probably like runs rampant in like pretty much all populations, even.
100%.
I would also say the neck pain thing is going to be more prevalent now than it was in the past because we have more desk jobs, right? Looking at a computer like this all day.
Yeah, that's not the natural position for someone.
Yeah, you mentioned physical therapy. Physical therapist I work for, she talked about how like our traps, our upper to mid and lower traps are always in this lengthened position and not in a shortened,
like standing upright,
flex position where your posture is nice. Nobody's sitting like this doing homework for hours. There's always like this, and that's why your neck is just there's so much stress because you're shrugged all the time and you're bent forward.
Yeah.
And so, you mentioned PT.
Yeah, like I gotta fix my posture right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was leaning over.
Yeah.
Makes you,
Yeah.
makes you
But, like,
think.
Yeah.
Like now you said, actually, I kind of think like I wonder like if the numbers. I wonder if the numbers show basically like a decline in certain like issues, like maybe lower back pain from people working less physically tolling jobs,
Right.
and then an increase in other stuff like you're saying with the neck thing. Because like and farmers, they're probably not like looking like this all day doing stuff. They're kind of upright, doing a lot more like stuff that might require more of their lower back issue.
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty interesting point you brought up there.
That'd be something to look at for sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch again, you said physical therapy, that's kind of my application
Yeah.
point here is the biggest help for a lot of these musculoskeletal diseases is moving, right? Like, and that's what the discrepancy is with this research is there's not enough research to tell us, hey, these people just need to move more.
Yeah.
They need more exercise, they need more mobility work, they need to move more, right? Like we've there's lots of cases of patients that come in with hypermobility or arthritis problems, and if you do movement intervention or therapeutic intervention, dry needling, massages, chiropractic intervention with stretching and with exercise, not a lot of people know that that's really what you need to do other than taking these medications that might just make the inflammation worse,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what it is. It's a lack of movement, right? Movement is medicine, movement is lotion, and so you have this lack of movement and your body's just so tense all the time, and then you just go to sleep
Yeah.
and repeat every
100%.
single day instead of getting out, moving, stretching, and all this kind of stuff. And so physical therapy is a big proponent of just let's just move 2 to 3 times a week, start to build that baseline, and then do some prescriptive intervention about you need to be exercising this amount of times because you're already, because of your previous lifestyle, has predisposed you to this hypermobility or this even hypomobility where you're not moving enough, your joints are so tight and constricted all the time, rather than having the lotion or movement, if you will. And I just wrote that down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Like
biggest
the-
help is going to be activity.
I wrote down that like the early detection and prevention. Yeah. So that correlates with that.
That could also definitely be seen like people who have like an illness who are like stuck in bed for multiple days, like the hospital. After a while, they get like bed aches because your body's kind of like it
Stuck
needs,
in that position.
It's stuck in the position, yeah, and like it gets certain muscles are tense because they're sitting there active the whole time, and other ones are like totally inactive. And then what that can even do is, if someone's like in a coma after a while, your body you use it or you lose it kind of thing. Because people who are in a coma for like a year, it's like their muscle mass just
To learn how to
deteriorates.
walk,
Yeah, because they just like I haven't moved in a year, and so it's like
Yeah.
my whole body has just basically like I'm not getting a lot of fuel in. This can even seem like people who live a very like sedentary lifestyle, like they drive, they're sitting the whole time, they go to work at a desk, they sit the whole time, they go home, sit on the couch, eat potato chips and like watch TV or whatever. You're not moving really, and so your body just like, well, why would I put my resources into my muscles and my legs when I don't even use those? So it just keeps this bare minimum amount it needs to physically move, but not enough to like, and then like you said, that can predispose you to like other issues because you might even have these other issues like on a genetic level, and then you have this lifestyle and it's just like exacerbating like the effects of it, or even speed up the process of like having these issues like properly develop.
Right.
Yeah, one question I had was why we're not putting more emphasis on researching backpacks, because I know
That's a good question.
earlier we were talking about how we're always like this, we're
Yeah.
always extended here, and we're not flexed upwards,
Yeah.
and we always get tech neck. Like one big contributor is backpacks, because if it's heavy on our shoulders and it just makes you boom, and
Right.
it strains your traps and your neck muscles. So, I mean, we do see stuff like, I don't know if y'all see these ads, but there's, the.
Oh,
there's
yes,
like
yes,
this-
it's-
but like I
it's
don't
like a
know.
vest or whatever,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
like some weird vest thing, but I don't know why there's not more emphasis. Like, why are we only seeing it in ads?
Yeah.
I will add on to that. So I don't know if you guys hike, But hikers, it's really important to like the way you pack your bag and the way you wear your backpack. And so like they have like that's why their backpacks are so expensive because like it fits on your back properly. And so like they have way less back issues, and also makes like if you're hiking like 100 miles, it's like you probably want to have something that's not going to like destroy your back and then you can't
Yeah.
sleep kind of thing. But you know the other population that uses backpacks a lot is like clearly like students, and I think a lot of students don't even know that the way we carry backpacks is like really inefficient, and it's not good for your back. And so that was like an interesting point about like the whole backpack is like we
Yeah.
have like one population of people who like they actually know about it and they know the importance of like wearing the backpack properly, and we have another population who is like they have no
Yeah.
idea at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to talk about, because we're about 10 minutes, so does anybody
Yeah.
want to talk about the different aspects of the research before we go into kind of findings and?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the methodology was like pretty.
Yeah.
It was pretty simple. It was really just like I said. They were just kind of looking at a lot of data sets and stuff, and then they go into further detail of like who they looked at and like the categories they were looking at. But I think we kind of already covered a lot of that, and then also it's just that's not like the meat of the article.
Well, I think the big thing that I saw was the NIAMS, that national institution, had a set amount of funding that they wanted for each of these different research topics. So neck pain, low back pain, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and et cetera. And they were looking at what percentage of that funding that we wanted did we actually get. So a big part of the findings was, generally speaking, they were all underfunded,
Yeah.
right? Which is
Yeah.
the point of the whole
Yeah.
article. But when they went into specifics, they said neck pain was the most underfunded, 0.83%
Yeah.
of the
Oh, yeah,
funding that they
that's the-
wanted for their research.
That they actually
Only 0.83% of the funding that is what they got from the NIH.
So less than 1%.
Less than 1%, and then low back was 13.88%. Osteoarthritis was 35.08, and rheumatoid was the only one more than 50%, and that was 66.26%. And I think rheumatoid is the most invasive. So that makes a little bit of sense why there's a correlation there.
It's also culturally. I mean, I don't think people really look at back like lower back pain as like a big issue,
Yeah.
even though like a lot of people are like plagued with it.
Well, I think the biggest thing is what you're gonna find is the NIH. If I'm in the NIH, I'm looking at this neck pain and low back pain as a simple fix,
Yeah.
right? Everyone knows you just need to move the right
Like,
way.
Yeah, you can
But
avoid it. That's what I
but
think.
if we're seeing that what the NIMS is kind of getting at here, and what this article is getting at is, even though it's a quote unquote simple fix, why are we still seeing the numbers to rise, right? Why is this still a progressive problem? And we're not seeing solutions? It's because nobody knows, right? If the NIH is saying, okay, this is a simple fix, you just need to have these therapeutic conventions, you need to move more, but the general population isn't receiving that information, or they just don't care to look enough, more research and more general mainstream information is needed to get that to the public, to say it's not as much medicine, although medicine is good and useful, it's the
Preventing
baseline
it.
lifestyle that's going to prevent it from ever happening in the first place. And then through the use of medicine, you can then start to improve your lifestyle to then hopefully come off of medicine
Yeah.
and resume a healthier lifestyle. So that's the thing, is it's like, although this might be common knowledge, the general public and the lack of research, we're not getting that feed, that information feed of, oh, this is what I actually need to do, right?
Yeah, it's like we're uncertain.
Right, which some people may say, oh, this is not uncertain, this is what you need to do. Well, it's like, but do we actually know that? A couple other findings, these were some of the diseases that led in causing of disabled living. So just disabled living in general, these are some of the main causes. And then it was one of these diseases, musculoskeletal diseases, were some of the leading causes of expected years declining due to disease or disability. So the expected amount of years you're supposed to live, it's declining due to your disease, the diseases that you have, those diseases, out of those diseases that are causing that, musculoskeletal health diseases are of the leading causes. So not Alzheimer's, not whatever. And then despite, like I said earlier, despite the problems with the NIH, or despite the problems that we're seeing across the board with these health problems, the NIH funding still remains low.
So I will actually like add one thing, one last thing. You're talking about we already like have a quick fix, or like we already know the answer to like the issue.
Well, it's not necessarily the answer, it's just,
We know a way to like help with it, right? But so my thing is, an active lifestyle is like, yeah, that could fix it for like a lot of people. The other thing is, we might need more research to find other ways, because if an active lifestyle works to get rid of or help like mitigate those issues, that's great. But for some people, it's just not realistic. Where like if someone has a very busy schedule, and it's like everyone should be able to be active, but the reality is sometimes it's just not realistic for some people.
Right.
And so you actually might need other solutions, like you were saying about like the vest thing. You know, you might not be able to go outside and walk a mile every day, kind of thing, to help you get loose and move or whatever. But you can probably wear that all day at your desk, and then that can help. So it's like, you know, there's
Like
there
no
probably
walking treadmills, maybe like something that can be prominent in houses
The
and
standing
like
desk.
Exactly, yeah.
desk.
And it's like all
Better
these things.
chairs.
If we can actually have more money for other research, we can actually see, okay, we already know some of the answers, but these are not like applicable to like a lot of people. And like you said, part of it could be they're not looking for it or they're not shown it. But the other part of it could be that they're just like, that's great, I don't have time to do that. And so we might actually need other solutions to help fix the issue.
so for the population that doesn't have access to, or doesn't have a lifestyle that accommodates a necessarily overactive lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Right? Maybe they don't have time to work out an hour a day or whatever, or go on a hike twice a week or whatever it is. The research that is lacking the funding will help the general population know that even though it might not be active lifestyle, it could mean those what's the word I'm looking for? Ergonomic
Yeah. Like an
improvements
environment
in
that
your
helps,
life.
an environment that helps your body
Right.
sustain itself, kind of thing. Yeah.
Just stretch.
Yeah, but that's another thing. Stretching is like you can stretch your desk, but like I know for guys maybe like I still want to say this. This is like the actual last thing. I think like some stuff for like guys is like as a guy, it sounds like, hey, you should do Pilates with me. I'm like, I'm not doing Pilates.
Yeah.
With me.
I'm not
like,
waking up at 6 a.m. to do yoga, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the reality is that might be a really good fix for some of these issues that you might have, but
Right.
there's like a stigma towards it where if
Right.
you have research, someone like, oh, it's great for you, and then you might have a, you know, you might have a kind of a
Shift.
swap, yeah. But
Matthew, you got anything before we
Well,
wrap
I'm just
up?
kind of like agreeing with what you said about how like some people might not be able to do things like going to physical therapy.
Right.
You know, if you're working an office job and you're like this all day, like I don't know, you might not even think to yourself like, oh, I should get like physical therapy or like a massage or something like that
Yeah.
simple just for
Right.
your neck. You're like, oh, it's just I'm just saying like this. Like they even I feel like some people like know that's why, but they don't do anything to fix it.
Yeah.
I think. So I was kind of agreeing with what you said. Like,
Yeah.
some people might not be able to.
So if we get more funding towards this research that's going to show, hey, this is actually something that you really need to do, not just as, hey, it's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be the general vocabulary is, yeah, you should go outside and stretch and move and be active. And people are like, yo, that's great. Okay, I'm not going to do that.
yeah.
Wherein if we have more research, we have more funding towards this
Like it
research.
shows like,
it comes from it moves from this is a suggestion to, no, this is going to prevent you from being disabled at the age
Yeah.
55.
Yeah.
And being able to actually lift your kids or spend time with grandkids or actually live a healthy lifestyle and until you.
Or even just live longer. Even,
Right,
some stuff,
yeah.
Yeah. It's like
That's a good point.
Yeah.
you can see it like as like a OSHA requirement, like these businesses have to have this.
Yeah.
Just
Take a walk
yeah,
for 30
like,
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of
Like
these,
see that like
yeah.
PE like in school, like you have to have PE, maybe they do that for adults. So, you know?
Well, some of these desk jobs,
Yeah.
man, I think some of these companies, if they're having you sit at a desk for 9 hours a day, at least 30 minutes needs to be devoted to, hey, just go outside and
Yeah.
walk. You know,
I do know some do that. My girlfriend, actually, her job, they like pay for you to work out for 30 minutes every day. They have a gym.
yeah,
And so like I know there's some places do they've kind of like modernized in that sense, I guess.
But how many places,
Not a
how
lot,
many
though.
people actually take advantage of that? That's the
But
problem.
not a huge amount because
Right.
it's, you know, they're kind of like, oh, you can.
Right.
Yeah, but I
We'll
want to go
pay
sit. I want to
you.
go sit
Yeah.
down and rest. I'm not doing all that. I
Exactly.
still have 6 more hours on my shift. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that.
Right, right. So it's like, we'll pay you instead of, it, like we said, it's a suggestion and not a, this is a requirement.
Yeah, not a
Yeah.
requirement, yeah.
This is something that's vital,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Just as much as drinking water.
It's like, it's a nice idea, but,
We lost our lights.
There we go.
yeah. I think it's motion censored. I think it's,
Well, I walked that way to turn back on.
yeah.
Project,
Yeah.
infographic.
Yes.
There's a good amount, I don't have my laptop in front of me, there's a good amount of graphics on there. I think we should just compile that.
Yeah.
Is that on Canva?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we could just do Canva. There's a good amount of bullet points in there that we can hit on and graphics. We'll just do that, so.
Yeah. That shouldn't be too difficult. I think we can
Yeah.
just
Yep.
compile that pretty well.
100%.
Does anybody else have any suggestions for that?
I mean, I think other than just making sure we cover all the points.
100%.
I think we
Y'all
did it
just
all.
split it up, and then
Yeah.
we'll figure out how to
Key
do it.
findings.
Well,
Yeah.
and
What
some
is
research.
what's the exact thing?
Well, I
for that?
mentioned the backpacks, and then I
Yeah.
also mentioned like warehouse workers and
Well,
Yeah,
I,
So
I-
some examples of how
yeah.
we can
Yeah.
better
Well, I was thinking more like the actual like the
funding.
no, like the actual like project we have to like write to compile. Like the
Yeah, let me
data.
look at it
I was
on
saying for that,
Canvas.
I think we need to make sure we hit all of our topics because it does give us some stuff. But I think also we need to make sure that we're not necessarily like pulling it out of our butt. The information we kind
Yeah,
of we can
just
either use
look
this.
into the article.
We can use this article. We can even like if we want to look like one or two other articles loosely, just to like have some actual backing for what we're putting on the infographic.
Good.
Was all I was gonna say, but yeah. And we can even put some of the stuff like we talked about the backpack. Like that's
Yeah.
a good idea. I think.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
it. But
That would add more.
I think besides that, I think I don't have anything else to say.
All right, sweet. So we'll get started on that.
And